Oh, no intro today. That's okay. But what's going on, ladies and D-Gents? Welcome back to the Distinguished D-Gen podcast. I'm one half of the Distinguished D-Gens. I am Steve Big Bucks of Ada, co-host. Joining me as always for this NFL Conference Championship Handicaps. It is the one and only Monty Mansmann. Monty Mansmann. It's been a long week. We've had some time to grieve. We had some time to recover. We've had some time to basically see where these games lay, and truth be told, not a lot of movement from the opening last week. A lot of more things that are known at this point, but not a lot of line movement. So I know we were talking earlier in the week about these games and how we were just very unsure. How's your confidence going into this video?
Well, I mean, betting wise, I haven't had a good playoffs. But strangely enough, for as wild as the playoffs feel, can't argue with the matchups. Seem like they're deserved. So I think that's why you don't see a lot of line movement, because I think you sort of, you know what you're getting with the teams. And even though you know, even though I would have liked to see my team in the last four, you can't say there's really any team that sort of doesn't deserve to be there or that's a big surprise because, I mean,
Yeah.
I think all four teams were sort of within the top, 6 to 8 teams all year. So no real surprises there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is really surprised at who the matchup is, and I think the argument could be made. This really is the top two teams in each conference. Whether, you would have said that 6 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, or not. But at this point, I mean, you're 100% right. That's not a surprise whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, you could have added the Bills. You could have had a Cowboys. You could have, on the AFC side, maybe the Dolphins, earlier in the year. But, you're getting teams. It's not like a Green Bay Packers that came out of nowhere playing for an NFC championship, or you got a Houston coming out of nowhere. Like these,
or Tampa
these
Bay
feel like a worthy sort of four best teams in the league, if you want to put it that way.
Makes it an exciting Super Bowl potential. So, I mean, I'll say this real quick, and this is before we get into the conspiracy theories going in. This is before going even into the handicaps. Right now, Super Bowl props are kind of being divvied up into 4 legs, basically one for each team. This, I would argue, is the time. If you're going to start hitting Super Bowl props and you're just confident one way or another, one team is going in, you maybe not hit it in terms of volume. Well, maybe you hit it in terms of volume, not necessarily like betting amounts. What I mean by that is, say for example, I feel strongly San Francisco is going to make the Super Bowl. And regardless of who makes it, I just think they're going to win. Well, now's the time you go and bet San Francisco, because most likely you're going to get them as an underdog right now, or you're going to get them at the highest odds you're going to get at this point. Because if San Francisco wins and they're going to be in Las Vegas, you could guarantee your ass they most likely are going to be the favorite. Or, for example, you like Detroit. You think Detroit's going to make a run. They are the highest odds right now out of any of the 4 teams. So bet it now before you get a matchup where it ends up being a 2-1, 3-1 money line, where right now you could probably get a 7-1, 8-1. Same with your Super Bowl MVP props. Same with, who do you think the matchup is going to be? You have basically 4 options at this point. If you're strongly on 2 winners, bet it now while you can get plus money, because I guarantee you, come the end of this week, you're going to get really reduced odds.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it too is if you have a feeling sort of about the 2 games, you could also sort of structure your bets. If not now, for the early open. I mean, I know a lot of the sharps, and this is why sometimes betting the Super Bowl is not really, because, I'm not a pro bettor that's going to be sitting there at 8:30 at night and hammering sort of all the Super Bowl prop opens. But really, I mean, the pros are going to be on the Super Bowl early, because then you're going to get sort of, you almost sort of get on stuff early, and then you sort of ride against the Barneys as like the week, as you get closer to the Super Bowl. And
the vig isn't going to be as bad.
If it were made, just to give you an idea of what my thinking is, I might be a lot more inclined. to go with San Francisco in the Super Bowl if Baltimore wins, because I think the home field advantage. I mean, it's hard because the Super Bowl, there's always a corporate sort of atmosphere. It never feels like there's a tremendous sort of home field advantage. I mean, unless like the Raiders were playing, it might feel like a bigger sort of home field. But
or sort of like when the Rams were at home in SoFi playing the Bengals, it was definitely like a Rams home game, even though it was supposed to be a corporate neutral site.
Like if the Niners win and Baltimore wins, I think you're going to have a much better home field for San Fran than like if the Chiefs win.
100%. I'm with you there. The only thing that I would say that does concern me with riding San Fran is that, like, number one, it's like you said, if they win this game, we're not going to know till like 9:30. So, and unfortunately, we had the AFC up first. So, but I'm 100% with you. If it's San Fran, if you just think they're going to bet it now, and don't just bet don't bet this game, bet the futures, because you're going to get actual plus value. The VIG is not going to be as much of a hold compared to, next Monday. It's you need to do it now if you're on San Fran. So that's my little bit of a teaser. The AFC, on the other hand, again, it's like you could pick or choose. I know there's trends pointing in both directions of who you could take. If you want to believe the conspiracy theory about the Super Bowl colors and you just want to hammer the Ravens, well, go bet Ravens Niners right now, and bet Ravens Lions. Like, if you have a 2-unit, 3-unit play, just split it 1.5 on both sides and just pray you get it profit.
Yeah, or money line parlays too. You could do because there's only 2 games. So,
right, that's 100% true. Yeah, Super Bowl forecast. Yeah, I mean, you could bet forecast, you could bet MVP. There's outrights. And there's even matchups. So, yeah, like I say, depending on what your takes are, folks, you may want to consider going to the futures markets. So that's my bit of early advice going into this video before we get into these games. And just as one last note, because there are only 2 games, I figured we could do a little bit more than the spread picks, a little bit more than the over-unders. So I actually have 3 props for each game that I'm going to give out instead of the standard 1 or 2 that I was doing for the playoffs. Now it's going to be 3, and I have 2 very large odds props that I would consider hitting as well, that I will give my explanations for each game and in general. These odds will be given through Fanduel, but we will always say make sure you shop around, check your different books, get your best odds you can get. But with that said, any final words, Money Mansman, before we get started?
No, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. So kicking off Sunday, 3 o'clock, it is the AFC Conference Championship here in our hometown of Baltimore. We're going to have some light rain all day Sunday, but the Kansas City Chiefs come into town. They are plus 180 road underdogs once again. 3.5-point underdogs to Baltimore, who is a minus 215 home favorite. The over-under is 44.5. Like I said, the AFC is where I get a little heads up here. This is going to probably be a very good game. I don't really know if I see blowout potentials, but I'm going to defer to you on this game. So what is your take for the AFC
sure.
Conference
This is the game I like better. I know all the numbers about the sort of Josh Allen curse, which is funny. And don't get me wrong, like personally, I don't know. I'm not thrilled about the idea of hearing all the Lamar Jackson, how great he is. I don't really want either team to win. I feel like it. I'm going with the Chiefs here plus the 3.5. I think sort of 2 things. Number one, a pure numbers play. I expect this game to be close. This has the feel of a close game to me. Kansas City's got a good defense. Baltimore's defense has played well in the past. I could see Baltimore especially running the ball quite a bit. So I have a feeling this is going to be a close game. So I just like the 3.5 in general. But I honestly think that the Chiefs are going to win this game outright. Kansas City, 10 straight wins as a road underdog against the AFC. They've actually been really good on the road as a road underdog, strangely enough.
I don't know if it's 10 straight wins. I think it's 10. It's I had that same stat. They're
Did
9-0
I?
and 1 ATS. I don't know if they have
Oh,
the
so
win.
maybe. Oh, so maybe like 10 straight covers potentially.
Potentially, but
Or
sorry
good
to interrupt.
ATS.
I
But yeah, I mean, the point is, and how I think of it is the Bills were a 2.5 point favorite at home against the Chiefs last week. The Ravens are a 3.5 point favorite this week. I honestly think that if the Bills played the Ravens, that they would win the game. I honestly think that the Bills were a better team than the Ravens. So I like the number even more. And yeah, I mean it's a pretty simple handicap. I just like the Chiefs better. They have the championship pedigree. They have the playoff pedigree. And I like the idea. I like what Chris Jones is talking about, the trash talk about, like, if we make Lamar Jackson throw, we'll probably shut him out. Because I told you last week, I think that's the way to beat the Ravens. Force them to throw. And I think if they force Lamar Jackson to throw, I think the Chiefs are going to pull the game out.
mean, it makes sense if you compare him to Tua Tagovailoa, and what was the Chiefs' game plan for that? Well, we're going to make him throw. He's going to beat us in the air, not on the ground. And they basically shut them out touchdown wise. Buffalo struggled in that sense, but you know what they did? They shut down the receivers.
You know what
they didn't really shut down Josh
Allen. They were a lot
Allen.
better against the run the second half. That was the big difference.
100%. And so you have that angle, and Baltimore is a very heavy run team. I endorse your pick. I'm with you. Chiefs plus 3.5 is the play. This was the one I actually had to take notes on because, again, confidence was not really as strong. But I'll try not to repeat what you said. Bottom line, though, it's a Barney Bester play. This really does feel like a public versus pros game. A lot of the pros that I've been hearing, some of them are basically all the way on Baltimore. They think Baltimore is the far superior team. I think Steve Fezzik was one that basically said his model said that the Ravens should be a 7-point favorite, but now it's 3.5, and you have to give credit to Lamar Jackson. I don't know if I 100% agree with that, it being a 7-point swing.
Yeah, I love Steve Fezzik, but that's crazy.
It could have been Vegas Chris. It was someone on the Bet US show. One of them basically said their model had it at 7. But anyways, my point getting to was that Ravens are favored for a reason. We can't discount that. And the Ravens, time and time again, against these tough teams, have just basically blown the doors out of everybody that they've come across that's been considered the tough team. The Rams, I know that was a close game that went to overtime. They blew the doors off of the Detroit Lions when they came into town. They blew the doors off of Miami when they came into town. And it's like every time we test these Ravens, they just show up time and time again. So it's kind of like the logic I hear is, well, why wouldn't they show up this time? And also, too, another thing you have to consider, the Chiefs getting short rest. They played Sunday night. Yeah, now they're coming in Sunday afternoon. Ravens, they played Saturday afternoon. They're getting an extra day's rest. They're also coming in a lot healthier. Got Mark Andrews is slated to return. Marlon Humphreys, a big miss last week. He's coming back. So the shutdown defense from the Ravens, I think the other side of the Ravens coin too is you are going to have the shutdown defense. Arguably Mahomes' toughest test on the road. Not short notice, but this might be the hardest defense he's played all year. And when you barely scathed by a Buffalo who was, let's be honest, playing with second and third stringers, the idea is that you have to hammer the Ravens because you're getting a lower number and the Ravens are the better, healthier team. But I just think this is playoff football. This is Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. We've seen this time and time again. You're giving me Mahomes as a 3.5, which I think is the key number, 3.5. If it was 3 or lower, I honestly would consider hammering Baltimore in this spot, but I think this just has the feel of a field goal game. To me, I just don't know how this is going to be a blowout one way or another, which it wouldn't surprise me. Like, if there's going to be a blowout, it's going to be the side of Baltimore, and no one's going to see it coming. That's the truth. But I just don't see that happening here. This is going to be very close. And it's a scarier play because I think it is the public angle. I think the public is all over. We're just going to bet Mahomes as a dog. But it hasn't failed yet.
Yeah.
you know, and by the way, I looked up that stat you mentioned. So my numbers have 9-0-1 ATS. It depends on what you got that number as, because some books had it at 3.5, which would have been a cover
Gotcha.
because it was a
So
3 point
basically,
swing. They
very
did
good
lose.
ATS as road underdogs. What can the Chiefs not do? Sadly, no. 100%. And sort of I guess the big point that, and I think you alluded to it, is Kansas City's getting to be one of those teams where it's just like, or Mahomes is one of those quarterbacks. He's getting to be like Tom Brady in his prime in the playoffs, where like you just can't bet against the guy as an underdog. I mean, it's just, what is it now? I think four straight AFC champion, or no, even more, six
Five.
straight, five straight.
5 or 6. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
I mean, it's, five straight AFC championship games, coming off a Super Bowl championship. I mean, it's just, they're becoming a team that's perennially in the Super Bowl. It's almost getting to the point where it's like you just don't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, because it's not.
It might actually, you know what? It might be 6. I think it might be 6.
I thought
2018
the number
is
was
the one
6 last time. Yeah,
it could be 6, but
it's getting to be the point where you almost can't justify betting against Mahomes in the playoffs, because they're too good.
You can't.
They're just too good.
Now, the other trend I will say, there's actually a Mahomes playoff trend that's actually gone in a circle, and we're on the third leg of it. So, and I think you're 100% right. It is 6 AFC championships now that I look at it. So, in order, here's what happened. He lost in the AFC championship. The year after, he wins a Super Bowl, 2019. 2020, he loses in the Super Bowl. 2021, he loses in the AFC championship. 2022, he wins the Super Bowl. Now we're in the 2023 season. Does he make the Super Bowl but loses? So one of these trends is going to end in this game, because it'll either be the Josh Allen curse or it'll be the Mahomes Super Bowl era trend. So that's also why I'm a little bit confused. And another trend, this is a referee stat I pulled. Looks like it's going to be Sean Smith as the head ref, and home teams under him are 31% ATS this season. He is second lowest in the league.
Jesus.
And in a game that's going to have light rain, it's going to be muddy, and basically it's going to be the Ravens are going to have to run. And if the Chiefs just shut the run, they're going to make Lamar throw. We saw what happened in the first half with the Texans. I'm very concerned that it's a Ravens letdown spot at home, but like I've said, there's just so many reasons. You can't count out Lamar. You can't count out this Ravens defense either. So I do expect it to be close. That's why I'm taking the 3.5. But if I had to pick a winner, I do lean the side of Baltimore. I do think their defense is better. They are healthier. And I just don't think that... I think Harbaugh is just as good of a head coach as Andy Reid, truth be told.
Yeah, Harbaugh is a very good coach. I think Andy Reid's the best coach in football now that Belichick is out. But Harbaugh is right there, one of the top 3 coaches in football. So it's not like you really sort of. I don't expect Harbaugh to get punked. You know what I mean? So.
I've never known Harbaugh to get punked in the playoffs, truth be told. Except, I mean, maybe the Titans game with Lamar the first time around, they really got punked. But I mean, Lamar, I think he had a statement game against the Texans, and I'm not going to count him out here. We even saw in that second half, he was like, "Yeah, I cussed out the locker room," and then he came out in the second half, he put the game on his legs, and he won it. If he comes in this game with the same attitude, I don't know if Kansas City's really going to be able to stop it with as tired as they've been. And I guess the real simple way to put it is, how much longer can Kansas City go the way they're playing? You're not getting Tua in the snow. You're not playing Buffalo and their second string backup defense. This is the number 1 AFC team, and rightfully so.
Kansas City looked like a Super Bowl team last week.
I'll give you that. I mean, they look like a Super Bowl team every year. I hate to say it, but this is the truth. And this is the worst iteration of the Chiefs we've had, and they still look like a Super Bowl team.
I would just be careful to the sharps, because it's very easy in the NFL to sort of, Buffalo shit, they can't win the big game, they suck, they're losers, Josh Allen's a bum. Buffalo's no good. Kansas City's in for a wake-up call. Baltimore is going to run roughshod over them. Like, no offense, I was convinced that I thought this was the best iteration of the Bills team that they had, which I think made Kansas City's win all the more impressive. I mean, because that was, I think, the best Bills team they played in the playoffs, and they still were able to beat them. Like, I think Kansas City has the ability. I really do.
I disagree. I don't think that was the best Bills iteration, but mainly due to injuries. That's my take. It's injuries, and you had the coaching issues halfway through the season. I want to see a full season with Joe Brady, and if McDermott does stick around, which I think he is, let's see what happens next year. And then I think that might be the best iteration. True, that's just my opinion. Yeah. But anyways, my final pick, if I had to pick a winning team, it's Baltimore at home. It's like money line. I should take the Chiefs, but I don't know how much they're going to have left, and this is going to be their toughest test.
Yeah. It's weird. I have a feeling that Baltimore is going to win, but I don't feel like they should. Like,
do you think it'll come down to Justin Tucker? Like, doesn't it just feel like Lamar could just get to the... Like, it could be a 58-yarder, but Tucker's going to nail it.
Yeah, I feel like this game's going to be on the Baltimore defense, so I agree with that.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this game does come down to defense. I think it does come down to the weather playing a factor, too. I think it's going to be a ground game mostly, so I think clock's going to get killed. So under 44.5 is my play.
Yeah, you took it. Goes. I was going to say, definitely feels like an under game for me. We've seen the Chiefs be able to win under games before. And, yeah, doesn't it feel like that this is – I'm expecting a lot of sort of I could see there being a lot of movement in between the 20s and then a few field goals. So I agree completely. Yep, under.
Yep. There we go. Under 44.5. It's a lean for me though, because I don't know how bad the rain's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a tundra. It could be like a sprinkle, but I think it's going to affect things. We've seen Kansas City receivers drop the ball all the time. Lamar being scared to throw. So dead under game for me out of these two. All right. So I got 3 props for this game I want to give out. I don't know how many you have, but I was going to defer the prop to you. I think you had a big one you wanted to share.
Sure, yeah. My big one doesn't really fit the under, but I am going with, and let me pull up the current number, Patrick Mahomes over 243.5 passing yards. I saw what the Ravens did against the run last week. I'm taking note of that. For the Chiefs to move the ball, they're going to have to throw. And I don't necessarily think the Patrick Mahomes yards is always going to necessarily be correlated to points. So I think you're going to get a lot of Patrick Mahomes throwing, but I could see a lot of field goals, maybe a couple 4th down stops, conversions. But I think that the Chiefs are going to have to throw the ball to win. I know it seems a little bit sort of Barney whenever you're playing a Patrick Mahomes like passing yard total, but this seems very low for this big of a game. And again, I think you're just going to get it based on the volume. I don't think it's going to be like last week where it's just, 7 plays of 20 plus yards. But yeah, I do think Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for 300 in this game. I would actually even think about like
bold.
An alternate sort of line, Patrick Mahomes up to 300 passing yards, which is, if I could see, it is currently plus 320. So you could even do a mini ladder there. 275 plus 188, 300 plus 320.
250s plus 102.
Yeah, you could even go up to 325 yards at plus 630. So I might have I might do a Patrick Mahomes passing yards ladder for this game because I could see him throwing the ball a lot.
So correlated question. You think it's going to be by volume. I think the number sort of points in your direction. His over-under pass attempts is currently at 36.5 minus 120.
Yeah, I think he could go over that. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of throwing because, again, when you look at sort of what Baltimore's defense has done, they've played pretty well against the run, and they were able to clog the run up pretty well last week against Houston. I could 100% see Andy Reid in Kansas City just substitute for the run, a lot of quick passes, a lot of quick underneath stuff. And you may even, well, I'll save that because I'm going to think of, I actually have another sort of, I'm thinking of potentially a receiving parlay with it. But you go, you give your
Ooh.
first prop. I'm going to look at the receivers while you do and figure out who I think the main beneficiary is going to be of that.
Sure thing. So my first prop, I have 3 props for this game. All 3 props are going to be plus money, just to give you a tease. Let's see here. All right, Niners gang, what's up, buddy? Glad you could make it. Sorry it's a bit late, but
Hey!
you haven't missed your Niners pick yet. All right, so with that said, we'll give him some love real quick. All right, prop number 1, AFC Championship. I am actually going Justice Hill over 2.5 receptions plus 152. Last week basically told me they are going more of a split committee. They were giving him a lot more looks. And in the Chiefs' last 8 games, 6 running backs in those last 8 have actually hit over this number in terms of reception. And I just like that they're involving him more in the passing down option. I think if Kansas City does come in for the blitz and they're going to force him to throw, I feel like Lamar's going to look for the check down all the time. And Justice Hill is definitely going to be the target there. If it's not going to be Mark Andrews with the deep ball. We saw last week too, Odell, Zay Flowers, not a lot of looks. I think it's going to be a lot of check down Charlie movement type of situation, and I'm going to get plus 1.5. So I'm going to go Justice Hill over 2.5. And with that said, Niner gang, that is true. Debo is back, and the line movement went 0.5 point, which we will get into next. But Money Mansman, what is your next game prop?
Sure. Yeah. I think I'm looking for a potential sort of receiving prop that I want to play. I'm not sure about the tight ends. I am going to go with, let's see, what is his total receptions? Let's go with Isaiah Pacheco over receiving yards. It's at 16.5. I'm a little concerned because I don't know if this is sort of a borderline play for me because I don't know if they're going to use another back out of the backfield. So that's the only concern. But like I said, I feel like they're going to stop the run a lot. There's going to be a lot of potential for sort of receptions out of the backfield. So I could see Isaiah Pacheco, especially trying to disguise some of the, sort of run pass situations. If they go and dump a few screen passes to him out of the backfield and maybe get him going that way. So you know what? The more I talk about it, I'm liking it more. Let's go Isaiah Pacheco over receiving yards, and we're at 16.5 right now.
I think if you like my handicap with the 2.5 catches for Isaiah, or not Isaiah Likely, for Justice Hill, I think the same logic applies. If you think this Ravens front 4 is going to rush Mahomes the whole time, and you think they're going to break the pocket, what do you think Mahomes is going to do? They're going to look for the screen. If it's not Clyde Edwards-Helaire on 3rd down, who's it going to be? It's Isaiah Pacheco. And if he breaks one off, you hit this easily. So I don't hate the play at all. Makes sense to me. With that said, we're going to switch back over to the Ravens, though, for my second prop. Give me, at plus 128, Lamar Jackson to throw a pick in this game. 5 playoff games he has had in his career. In 4 of those games, he has thrown an interception. I think in the last 2, I'd have to double check. In the last 2 games against the Chiefs, he has also thrown a pick to this defense. And I think you said it was Chris Jones who said it. They're gonna make Lamar Jackson throw. What do you think he's gonna do when he's under pressure and he throws? He's gonna throw a game pick. Hopefully it's not a pick 6, but if you're gonna give me plus money for Jackson to make a bad read and throw a bad pick, I'm all for it. So give me Lamar plus 128. I think you could get a plus 115 on ESPN Bet. And you can parlay it with the game as well. Unfortunately, with Fanduel, they don't let you parlay the interceptions, which I think is dumb. But so keep that in mind with this pick.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. This one's a bit risky too, but I think it fits my game narrative. Going with the Ravens now, Lamar Jackson under 66.5 rushing yards. We talked about it. I think there's going to be a big emphasis on this Chiefs defense to prevent Lamar Jackson from running the football.
That's funny because all the sharps I've heard, they love the over.
And
Every
I think it
single
makes
one.
sense if you look at Josh Allen, some of the success he was able to have on the ground against the Chiefs defense last week. I don't know. I just could see the Chiefs defense keying in on the run and stopping him. So I think if you like the Chiefs to be successful in the game, I'm looking for Lamar Jackson under the rushing yards. Because I mean, if you look, they had a spy on Allen last game. I think they're going to do the same thing to Lamar. And Josh Allen only had 72 rushing yards last week, so that's close to this number. So yeah, I like the under here as my third prop play.
And also, too, and another Steve Fezzik issue that I kind of had a problem with. The line opened 64.5. It's now 66.5. And he basically said if you don't get the CLV and your complaint is CLV, well, then you're a loser. I think he could shut the hell up with that, in my opinion. But I will give him this. It opened at 64.5. You're now getting 2 extra yards. It could make or break you in this type of a game.
Well, especially, too, if you think the Ravens are going to win and the kneel downs, the kneel downs, a couple yards.
The kneel downs, it will kill. It's happened before. I've seen it. It will kill you, especially in fantasy football. But under 66.5, I was thinking about hitting that. I didn't go that angle. I went with a little bit of a more bold play. Kind of took a page out of your book, but for my third prop, anytime touchdown, it's the return of the Matt. Give me Mark Andrews anytime touchdown.
Oh, that's a good number. I thought that I was thinking about that, but it seemed very Barney. But plus 240, that's not bad.
So here's why it's not the best play. This is my third one. Number one, he's never had a touchdown against Kansas City. So Kansas City has always managed to contain him in every time they played. Number two, he is coming off of injury where I think it was a high sprained ankle. I don't know if he's going to be fully integrated into this offensive scheme or if they're going to revert back to an Isaiah Likely, who Lamar Jackson has built up a repertoire over these last few games. And his touchdown prop, by the way, if you like Isaiah Likely, I think it's 4-1 currently on Fanduel. But Mark Andrews is Lamar Jackson's number one target. And considering he's barely been able to throw to Zay, he's barely been able to throw to Odell, I do like Lamar to get a passing touchdown, and I just think that with Isaiah Likely being the backup and Mark Andrews coming back in, especially if they get into a red zone situation, I really like Andrews to get the targets in this game, and I think they're going to try and throw to him a lot. So, yeah, if I have to pick a touchdown play for a Raven, give me Mark Andrews plus
Nice.
240.
I like that. I endorse that one. So.
All right, and I think that's the third prop, but I have a bonus one.
Ooh.
And I flipped back and forth, and this really doesn't go towards. It really doesn't go towards my underplay, but I am gonna give it out. It is. Let me pull this up real quick. Each team to have a rushing touchdown and to have a passing touchdown, plus 330. It's gonna come down to. I mean, Kansas City on the rush with Isaiah Pacheco, you know they're going to feed him volume. You know if they get into a goal line situation, they're either going to push Mahomes in. Mahomes also knows how to scramble. You could get a Pacheco. And also, you know Andy Reid. He's known to do these trick plays where it's a double lateral end around and somebody's going to run it in. Or he's going to flick it to Kelsey and he'll run it in. So I like the rushing angle there, and it's Mahomes. He's always good for one passing touchdown. Lamar Jackson is going to be the question. I don't think the rushing touchdown's the issue. It's whether he gets the passing one. But again, the way he's been playing, the way he's been producing on offense, I think getting one of each is definitely a lock. He did it last week against Houston. I think he's done it like 3 or 4 games in a row they've had this happen. So I like this one at plus 330. There is another one. It's 28-1 if you're feeling bold. It's each team to get a touchdown and a field goal in each half, 28-1. These are probably the 2 top kickers in the AFC, so I think if they do get in field goal range, especially in this type of a light rain game, I think they're going to both opt to kick the field goal rather than go for it here. And I just think a touchdown in each half is very doable. I think both teams have done it in 5 straight, so yeah, I might flick a chip or 2 on that one, but the plus 330 for the rush and passing touchdown, really like that play.
Like you're thinking, man. Like you're thinking.
Got it. All right. Any final words on the AFC Championship? We're both on Kansas City plus 3.5.
Yeah. No, let's get to the NFC side.
I know. Our biggest fan has been waiting for this one. It is the NFC Conference Championship. We got the Detroit Lions plus 290 road underdog traveling to the Bay, San Francisco minus 360 on the money line. They are now a 7.5 point home favorite. Over under up to 51.5 from the 49.5 at open. I do think it's my turn, and I'm more confident on the spread pick here. I think at 7.5. Bottom line, you have to take Detroit.
Oh, you're gonna make Niner gang so upset. Boo.
I know. Boo. Yeah. Poor timing, but yeah. First of all, the Niners haven't covered 6 straight at home. Going back to the losses, I think it was Cincinnati. They did get Debo back. They looked really good in the first 3 plays, and then he came out. Oh, here we go. We're already going to... Goff going to hear Debo's bicycle coming and start having flashbacks. I love the Friday reference. That was awesome. No, I just think that the Lions... Like, I know it's Jared Goff outside of a dome. I know it's Jared Goff in San Francisco. I'm not saying the Lions are going to win, per se, but I just think that we're going to... Like, writing off Detroit simply because they're going off on the road... Because it's San Francisco, all of a sudden, like, we just need to ignore how well Detroit has been playing lately. Coming back from deficits, coming back to win. With a Dan Campbell team you know is going to be extra motivated, I think is crazy. And the Niners, too, I think this is, like, Brock Purdy is the biggest concern in my head, not Jared Goff. Goff has had a lot of experience playing against this Niners team. I know he hasn't won 5 straight. So, I think Niners will eventually get the win. They are young, and I think Goff has basically cemented himself as a franchise quarterback. I just don't know if this is going to be a game you really see a Niners blowout like you did when, I forget who the hell it was. I don't think this is going to be like last year when Brock Purdy went out first drive and then the Niners got their doors blown off by the Eagles in that heartbreak where you just knew the minute Purdy went out, the game was over. I think this is going to be Purdy's his NFC Conference Championship test. Detroit's defense is the biggest concern. That's why I ultimately don't think they will win. But this has to be the game where you really rely on Christian McCaffrey. You rely on Brock Purdy to make the throws that he really couldn't do last week. And that's really the biggest question I have is, can he make those big plays, to really get the type of blowout win that's kind of expected with the San Francisco team. And I just don't think Detroit's going to go out laying down. They're going to go for 2. They're going to go for it on 4th. This game's going to be a lot closer than we think. And I think Jared Goff, the last time he played with the Lions, he did get 3 touchdowns on this team. So, kind of simple. I just don't know if I have faith in the Niners to cover this high of a number. That's really what it just comes down to.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. Spread for me, pass. Hate to be that guy. It's just not a number I want to play it at. Earlier in the week, it was Niners at 7. That was about the most I wanted to play the Niners. I don't think at 7.5 you could really play the Niners, but I don't know, man. The thing that scares me is San Fran had a wake-up call game last week, and I'm just scared that they could force Goff into a couple early turnovers, which we've seen him do before, and that this game could get out of hand early. There's another bet in this game I like a lot more based on that, based on how I think the game's going to go. So it's really hard. I think you're right. I think if you play this spread, it just is hard to really take San Fran at this high a number, considering what you saw against the Packers last week.
Great teaser number, by the way. I do want to say that 7.5, great teaser number. So you could tease it down to 1. What I would do is I would take Kansas City up to 9.5. I would tease Niners down to 1.5. If I had to do a teaser parlay, that's what I would do.
Yeah, that might be the way to go. That might be the way to go because yeah, I mean, I just I don't know. I feel like San Fran's going to win this game comfortably, but I know I said that with the Green Bay last week, but it felt like such a it was raining. It felt like a wake up call game. I can't.
Well, Green Bay's defense stepped up, and that was our big question with that game. Was Green Bay's defense going to step up? And sure enough, they did until the fourth quarter, and then once again they blew it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I saw what Baker Mayfield did against Detroit last week. I think the teaser play makes the most sense for the game. I don't think I could back either side at 7.5, though. I can't tell people to bet San Fran 7.5. So
I can't either, and that's really what it comes down to. It's like
yeah,
you have the ticket on the kiosk, and you go to hit the button. Which one are you hitting first? Lions plus a touchdown over, or Niners to win by more than a touchdown?
I think I'd have to. I think just based on numbers. I mean, if you think about it, Fran after like the last before, the number doesn't really seem right to me. So I guess gun to my head, it would have to be Detroit, but. God, I just have a feeling San Fran's going to win comfortably.
So Niner gang saying Debo's got that look in his eye this week. Not going to be good for the Lions. I don't think it'll be good for the Lions defense. I don't know about the spread though, because Debo being out, it was a 7-point game. He's back now. It's a 7.5. So now the books are basically saying we'll take the half edge now that we have Debo, but the over under moves a total of like 2 points.
See, I think it's more San Fran's defense is going to have a bounce back game. I don't think they played all that great against Green Bay.
I just think the Lions have too many weapons. I hate to say it. The Lions, I think, just have too much going on. Like, if you want to stop Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, okay, well, there's Sam Laporta, there's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Josh Reynolds is out this week. But, there's Jamison Williams, too. You can't forget about him. Same with the Niners, though. It's like, do you really want to fade that offense too? So, and speaking into that, and going
I don't see a lot of. Well, I mean, I don't know. Unless Debo really goes off and he really has that look in his eyes and is 110% and just is a game wrecker. I don't know if I see, like, to me, the much better play in this game under 51.5. I see Jared Goff struggling in this game. I don't think this is getting above the number. This is probably my favorite play of the week, honestly. I see this being an under game. Yeah, because I could see San Fran running the ball a lot of ball control, scoring 27 points, and Detroit getting like 10. Like, I could see Jared Goff struggling in this game. Lions offensive line, we know they're a little banged up. I could see the Niners getting after it. I think this is a dead under game to me.
See, I disagree with you. I think this is a big over game. Because number one, you look at
over-unders. I don't have a good track record.
I'll say this. Look at what Green Bay did last week with Aaron Jones.
Still didn't get over the number, though. Still was, 24-21?
Yeah, but what was that more of? Was that more of Green Bay failing to show up, or was that more of San Francisco struggling in the rain? I think it was more of the struggling.
The Niners defense played terrible, and they gave up 21 points.
I don't think it wasn't what you wanted especially if you're Niners gang. It's not what you want, but I mean, the way Green Bay was playing, as hot as they got, like the fact they got 21 didn't surprise me. It was more the fact that the Niners only got 24. That was my surprise. And I think in this game where it's going to be sunny, it's going to be, I think, 3:00 Pacific Standard Time, you're going to get more of an afternoon game, warm weather. I expect a lot more for this Niners offense to produce, and some of my prop plays that I'm going to give out kind of correlate with that. But I like the over-under, and Detroit, they're going to be good for. I think if Detroit gets 21 and it's 45-21, are you really going to be shocked? I think you're going to be more shocked if once again you get a 24-21 game.
Yeah, my thinking for this game, I could see 27-17. With a late Lions touchdown to make it look closer. I really think that I really have a feeling Detroit's offense is going to struggle on the road.
Hold on 1 second. Okay. There we go. I was just
see 31-21. That's,
31-21.
I will say that is a big hook. Like 52 would have been better because I could see that. That's the only thing. Like I could see you losing out by a hook. That's the only fear I have.
Yeah, I mean 31-21. That's not too far off from what I had. I had 34-20. So
Yeah, I could see you getting hooked. But I guess this leads into it. Sorry that I'm jumping ahead, but I guess
you're
I'll
good.
go
You're good.
first with the props just because it matches my underplay. I'm not even, this is sort of like a cheat. Fade Jared Goff. That's prop one. So really, I think sort of two things you could play here. Under 256 and a half passing yards. I could 100% see Jared Goff struggling in this game. And Jared Goff to throw an interception, minus 134. So I'll make that
Oh
prop
wow, well,
one. The
I don't
Jared
know if I
Goff
like the
fade.
odds on that, but I like the play.
Yeah, Jared Goff fade, prop one.
I'm trying to type all this at once while you go. So really, yeah, I guess like you said, it really plays into your Niners defense finally stepping up. But it also plays into the Jared Goff having a shit game on the road. Can't really fault the logic with you there.
Yeah, I agree, Niner. Again, Goff has not been good against San Fran. I think it's going to be a rough game for him.
He won as a Ram like before it really mattered with Coach Shanahan, and then ever since they really got good, he has just not been able to win. Yeah, it makes sense. I can't fault you for the picks. The Jared Goff interception, I'd lock it, but I just don't like the minus 130 odds. I think there's other plays you could get that are better.
Yeah, well, that's why I combined it with the fade Jared Goff. I like the yards probably better. Get 110, and I think it's better.
There you go. All right, so my first prop here. Let's see here. You know what? I'll be conservative for now, and we'll work our way up. My big prop, though, give me Brock Purdy over 274.5 passing yards. Ooh. And really, this plays into my over handicap. Ooh. Detroit's defense has been dreadful. You see what Baker Mayfield did to them. You see what Justin Fields did to them. And I think, like I said, I think the Niners offense was the one that had the wake-up call. You're getting a better weather climate this time around. So I do expect more connections to his receivers, especially with Debo coming back. I liked what I saw with the connection with George Kittle too. And the Lions defense, I think it's 6 straight now. They have given up 300 passing yards to opposing quarterbacks. So I'm getting a 25-yard hook. I might play the ladder up to 325. I'd have to see where that's at. Niners saying Lions defense versus our offense will be interesting. Both like to disguise. Yeah, the only problem is the Lions really can't disguise shit because they can't really cover. And especially with your receiving core, I could just see Purdy having himself a day, making his case to be the starting quarterback and that he's not a fraud. So I like over 274.5. And I know it's very bold because it is a lot of yards for Purdy, but I think this Lions defense could give it up. And with that, Money Mansman, do you have a second prop?
Yeah, one I really like. It went way over last game. I think it's going to happen again, especially because of what I expect the Lions to do. Christian McCaffrey over total receptions, currently at 4.5. This is an absolute lock to me. He had 7 receptions last game, and I think you're going to see the Lions defense very aggressive, blitzing a lot. This could almost be, I mean, if you really think C-Mac's going to have a ton of receptions, you could even think about laddering this. You could go up 6 receptions plus 146, 7, 235, 8 plus 370. You could go all the way up to 10 at plus 880. Now, that's a lot, so I don't know if you want to ladder it, but just the regular number itself, over 4.5 minus 118, that to me is an absolute steal in this game, because I could see the Lions blitzing a lot and a lot of dump. I could see just Purdy, a lot of checkdowns, making the right read, and you could even.
This is the third quarterback we've made that handicap with. There's going to be a lot of blitzing, so they're just going to check it off.
Well, I mean,
Makes
I think
sense,
you
though.
see what Purdy did last game. I mean, C-Mac had 7 receptions. I just think the number is really, really low. I think it's almost guaranteed he gets at least 6. So,
Gotcha. I don't know if I'm big on that play, but speaking of Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to play my prop with him. Give me over 126.5 scrimmage yards, minus 110 right now on FanDuel. I got burned last week with his passing yards play, unfortunately, and I don't remember if I gave that out or not. But the over 126.5 scrimmage yards, I really love, especially too, it plays into the Lions defense not being able to cover handicap, but it also is a big Christian McCaffrey number. He has hit over this number in 6 of his last 7 games. And I think it could be more passing yards this time around, but I just think he's 1 or 2 big runs away, and he could hit this over number by the third quarter. And I think for a Lions team that might be trying to shut down Kittle, trying to shut down Brandon Ayuk, trying to shut down Debo, I could see C-Mac having himself a game running all over this Lions defense. But the Lions rush defense is pretty good, so I think it plays into your passing scheme prediction as well. But it is a high number, but I think when you're considering it's the Lions and they're going to play a lot of contain, this number doesn't seem that bad. He's done it, like I said, in 6 of the last 7. We know he can do this.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a third prop?
Yeah, I'm thinking how bold I want to be. Do I want to basically go heads up in the prop with you or not? That's the question, because there's a couple I'm thinking of. I am going to go with. See, I don't know. I think the Lions might be behind. Okay, you know what? F it. I'm going to be bold. Christian McCaffrey under 86.5 rushing yards. Not necessarily a straight heads-up prop against you, but Detroit's defense has actually been better against the run pretty much all year, and I could see the Niners going with the pass-heavy attack. Now, I'm a little concerned because, Niners win, C-Mac could have a big game, he could get a big rush, so this is like I play this one with caution, but I 100% could see like Detroit focusing on stopping the run. Maybe they give C-Mac a spell and run with like an Eli Mitchell to give him a spell. And C-Mac could go and get like 80 yards, have like 150 scrimmage yards if he has like a ridiculous day. He catches the ball 7 times for like 80 yards.
Does he catch the ball? Does he catch the ball once and run 70 yards in?
Yeah. So like, I don't necessarily, it's not like 100% sort of an anti-prop against you. But I don't know if I like a high rushing game from C-Mac, because I think you could win with the Lions defense stopping the run, which is sort of their strength. They're much more susceptible to the pass. And then number 2, split backfield.
Niner gang's with you. He sees that happening.
Oh, see, there we go. I got the Niner gang endorsement there, so I'm happy.
Gotcha. All right, this one's a bit of a bold. Like I said, you know me. I love my bold plays. I'm going to give out a touchdown prop here. This one I'm actually more scared of than the Mark Andrews angle. I'm going to take one from your book. Give me Sam Laporta anytime touchdown, plus 180. Not the greatest
that
odds.
Failed me last week.
Not the greatest odds, but here's my logic. I think of Jared Goff. He's like number 1. The last time they played, he had a 3 touchdown game. I'd have to double check, but I think TJ Hawkinson was one of the guys who got a touchdown. But also, if you look at the Niners defense, there's one angle they've actually kind of struggled in. It's red zone defense. They have actually given up 60%. They've given up scores 60% of the time this year. They are ranked 23rd in the NFL. Sam Laporta is the Lions' number 1 target in the red zone when they get there. And I think if Jared Goff is going to look, especially if they do the play action throw, I think it's going to be Sam Laporta or nothing. He didn't get one last week. We'll re-roll it here. I like it in this spot, and I think it hedges also with the over score because I don't think Goff is going to just lay over and die. So plus 180 for me, Sam Laporta.
Like it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. I guess any final words before we wrap this thing up? I like our picks a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Oh, I forgot. I have a please. Don't want to do that. I did want to give this out, and I'll put a copy of it on our Twitter at DGens Podcast. Currently, I have a 500 to 1 same game parlay plus 8 picks with everything we have mentioned. But I'll give you the numbers. I did it a little early, but it was Laporta touchdown, McCaffrey over 124.5 scrimmage yards, over 50.5, Lions plus 7, Chiefs plus 3.5, under 44.5 points, Justice Hill over 2.5 receptions, Mark Andrews anytime touchdown. 10 would pay you $5,000.
There we go, buddy. Good luck.
So that's the dummy parlay, but I was trying to find like one of these game specials that had like higher odds that I could give out just as like a tease. None of them are really screaming to me. I will say there's one.
All right.
There's one, but I'm not confident by any stretch of the imagination. It would be... God. It's on the defensive side. There's 2 sacks plays. I'm going on the side of San Francisco. San Francisco to record 5 sacks, 20 to 1.
Oh.
It goes against the overplay. But I do think like it plays into your angle where if you think the Niners defense was a letdown last week and they're going to get at him, Nick Bosa is going to take the angle. You could get the same thing for the Lions. The Lions to get 5 sacks, you could get it at 6 to 1. Same idea, I guess it depends, but
I really like that. Actually, I really like that.
Yeah, Niner gang would obviously be more well adapted to the Niners defense and the sacks, but I think if you think Goff is going to have a terrible game and he's going to struggle in the pocket, 5 sacks, I think we've seen crazier with this Niners team. So that's my last prop I got to give. Other than that, I mean, this is like oddly enough, the most excited I've been for a conference championship, even though none of my teams are in it. Yeah, all I can say is just like, buckle in, folks. It's going to be a long Sunday. And yeah, I guess last word. Bet your Super Bowl futures markets now. Don't wait till Sunday. Don't wait till the game starts. Bet your Super Bowl futures now.
Yeah, if you're really serious about betting the Super Bowl, you need to be ready like 8:30, 9:30 when the second game ends because things are going to be moving. But yeah, good luck to you, Niner gang. Hope everything works out for you this weekend. Enjoy the weekend, unless you're a still salty Bills fan, reeling from last week. And Big Bucks, I'll leave the final word to you, man.
Well, thank you. As far as the show goes, I don't think we've really said it yet, but so basically we had this episode. We'll do the recap. I'm not going to waste any time talking about the Pro Bowl. I don't know what interest you have, but if anybody thinks betting on a flag football game where nobody cares is good money, you need to like leave this channel. Don't ever come back. But no, so we're not going to do a Pro Bowl episode, but we'll be back in probably 2 weeks to do a Super Bowl episode. We'll probably be back next Wednesday to do the conference championship recap. We'll then do the Super Bowl video, and then generally we get into our off season where we primarily go into UFC events, but really only the ones we're interested in. We also do a lot of YouTube page cleanup, more activity, recollect, see how we're doing. Also more of a mental break. So I guess my last message is, we've been going at this since August. Going at it strong, and this is our first real full season, and that was even with the breaks with Oh, god damn it, Niner Gang. Oh, the Royal Rumble, too, if anyone's interested. The Royal
Jesus.
Rumble will also be happening. I think Stone Cold might make a return.
Yeah, good luck betting on that.
No, Vince McMahon, he'll return from retirement just to be a wrestler. I was going to say, I got to get... Yeah, so anyway, I've had issues with the basement, but speaking of wrestling, once I get my basement redone from the flood I had, once it's back up and running, you'll love some of the props I have hanging up on the wall for that. But yeah, no, just remember to take your mental breaks. Like, it's been a long season. Take the breaks as you need to.
Yeah.
And
don't do what Vince McMahon did.
Don't do what Vince did.
Yeah, maybe that's
the final message. Don't be Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Don't be Vince McMahon. There's the last message.
Exactly.
All right, I'm out of here. This is it. We'll see you Wednesday. Niners gang, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, Niner gang, good luck this weekend. Money man.
Good luck, man.
Big Bucks beta.
We're signing off.
As always.
And as we always say, go win that motherfucking money. Good luck to the Niners. Whew.